Hi, I'm Natasha Hemmerling and I'm a partner here at Clarke Hemmerling Lawyers. Today I want to talk to you about residential building contracts and some of the common questions that I'm getting asked at the moment for people that are building their dream home. The first is, can my builder increase the price of my build? The second is, does the builder have to finish my build by the finish date listed in the contract? And lastly, should I get my building contract reviewed before I sign it? I want to discuss each of these for you briefly. So, can my builder increase the price of my build? Building contracts in South Australia are largely regulated by the Building Work Contractors Act. This Act sets out what builders can charge for their work and also sets out some requirements about what they must provide you and do. There are largely two types of contracts that are used, which are either fixed price contracts or a rise and fall contract. A fixed price contract is a set price. But whilst this is so, care does need to be taken, as often these contracts have provisions in them that allow for a price variation, either through variation provisions or what's known as prime cost items. A prime cost item is generally where materials are agreed between the homeowner and the builder that may cost an amount, that there is an anticipated increase depending on the selections that you make, which could mean that that item costs more than you anticipated at the time that you sign it. Variation clauses may also exist in contracts which outline the steps that have to be undertaken if the work under the contract is varied, how it's costed, and then of course how it's approved. Rise and fall contracts are broader in terms and allow for a vast range of cost increases. These contracts have set formulas that require certain events to happen that then allow for a price adjustment when the material or labour costs increase when these works are being performed. We're finding that rise and fall contracts are becoming increasingly popular given the labour shortages and material costs that have increased across the building industry since COVID. Consumers do need to be very careful of rise and fall contracts to ensure that you take the time to carefully understand them, as they can see very large and unexpected costs needing to be paid, which does affect the overall cost of your build. If a price increase is sent to you by a builder, it's important that you check it carefully. Check it against the terms of your contract and whether the builder can actually charge that cost increase and has it been charged to you correctly. Secondly, does a builder have to finish my build by the finish date that's outlined in my contract? This is something we are getting asked almost on a daily basis at the moment, as the industry is particularly busy. Most contracts do have an end date or a finish date listed in them. This is a date by which you would expect the build to be completed by your builder. Whilst this is so, there are generally terms within the contract that will allow the builder to extend the time for that finish date. Some common examples for a reasonable extension of time might be variations to the works, bad weather, a delay in materials, or perhaps your failure to provide prompt instructions to the builder on matters. It's important that you carefully review clauses in your contract before you sign it, as if these events allow an extension of time, you may not in fact know what the finish date is unless you have to be given notice of them by the builder. Some contracts do allow an extension of time that is reasonable on the part of the builder for a variety of matters, and they don't always require the builder to tell you when those events occur or how long the delay is expected to be that allows you to work out your new finish date. This means, without knowing this, you can never truly know what your finish date is because of these extensions. Knowing the finish date is going to be important, as there are usually many factors that rely on it, including ceasing a rental, reaching practical completion so you can move in, which will then allow you to consolidate multiple premises finances. And lastly, should I get my building contract reviewed before I sign it? Well, I wish more people would do this. Getting your building contract checked allows you to understand your risks and the ability to negotiate some amendments that might be required to put you perhaps in a better position than the builder. We can review your building contract, explain it in very plain and simple terms, which is important because you need to be able to navigate this during the course of your build. If you've already signed a contract and the construction costs seem to be endlessly escalating, then we can review that and give you our opinion on whether the costs are appropriate and justifiable under the document you've signed. So if you have a contract and want to understand its terms, risks, and perhaps some amendments that you should be asking for, you should call us at Clarke Hemmerling Lawyers today and speak to one of our building construction specialists to receive that advice. soon.